Title: The Birthday Party, that ended in a massacre. It was supposed to be a night of joy, a celebration filled with laughter, music, and the promise of another year of life. But when the clock struck midnight at a quiet suburban home, the sound of clinking glasses was replaced by blood-curdling screams. Neighbors later said they heard the music stop abruptly, followed by a gunshot. Then another. Then chaos. By the time police arrived, what should have been a simple birthday party had turned into one of the most shocking crime scenes the town had ever witnessed. This is the story of the birthday party that ended in a massacre. The town of Brookhaven, a small middle-class community just outside Dallas, wasn't the kind of place you'd expect to make national headlines. Streets were lined with oak trees. Neighbors knew each other by name, and weekends were spent at school football games or backyard barbecues. The victim at the heart of this story was Carolyn Dawson, a 27-year-old teacher known for her warmth and kindness. Her friends described her as the glue of their group, the one who planned game nights, organized vacations, and remembered everyone's birthdays. Ironically, it was her own birthday celebration that would seal her fate. Caroline had recently gotten engaged to her longtime boyfriend, Daniel Price, and this year's birthday party carried extra significance. It wasn't just about cake and presents. It was about celebrating the life she was building, the love she'd found, and the future she was about to embrace. She invited her closest circle of friends, her fiancé, and a few co-workers to her parents' house where she'd grown up. Her parents were away on a trip, leaving the house free for the party. The night began like any other. Laughter, drinks, and music echoing through the halls of the Dawson residence. No one could have predicted how quickly joy would spiral into horror. Around 11:47 p.m., Caroline blew out the candles on her cake. Her friends cheered, glasses were raised, and someone suggested moving the gatherings into the living room for music and dancing. Carolyn, radiant and happy, was caught on camera in a photo that would later circulate nationwide. Her arms wrapped around her fiancé, eyes bright with joy. Less than 20 minutes later, the first scream pierced the night. According to survivors, the front door suddenly swung open. A man dressed in dark clothing and wearing a mask stepped inside. In his hands, a shotgun. Panic erupted instantly. Some guests tried to flee through the back door. Others dropped to the ground, frozen in terror. The gunman didn't hesitate. He fired once into the ceiling, sending plaster raining down, and then leveled the weapon at the group. The next few minutes were a blur of horror. Caroline was struck first, collapsing beside her fiancé. Two others were shot before anyone could react. Blood spread across the hardwood floor as the guests screamed and scrambled for safety. By the time the shooter fled, 3 people were dead, 4 were injured, and the Dawson house, once a place of warmth, had become a slaughterhouse. The most haunting detail? The shooter never said a word, not once. He came, destroyed, and vanished. Police arrived within minutes after multiple 911 calls from terrified neighbors. What they found stunned even seasoned officers. Overturned chairs, shattered glass, birthday decorations splattered with blood. And in the center of it all, Caroline, lifeless in her fiancé's arms. Detectives immediately launched an investigation. Their first theory was that this was a random home invasion gone wrong. But something felt off. Nothing had been stolen, no valuables were missing, and the shooter had walked in with a level of intent that suggested planning, not spontaneity. Witnesses described the same chilling detail. The gunman was silent, almost methodical. Investigators began piecing together the victims' lives, looking for possible motives. The spotlight quickly turned to Caroline's inner circle. Daniel Price, Caroline's fiancé, was questioned first. Though devastated, he became a person of interest. simply because statistics show spouses or partners are often involved in violent crimes. But his alibi was airtight. He had been beside Carolyn when the attack began, shielding her with his body. Next came Carolyn's co-worker, Melissa James, who had attended the party. Detectives learned that Melissa and Carolyn had once clashed at work over a promotion. Could jealousy have played a role? But Melissa herself had been shot in the arm while trying to help another guest escape. She was quickly ruled out. Then there was Ethan Caldwell, an ex-boyfriend of Carolyn's who had not been invited to the party. Neighbours recalled seeing a car similar to Ethan's circling the block earlier that evening. When police brought him in, Ethan admitted he still had feelings for Carolyn, but denied any involvement. His gun collection was tested. None matched the murder weapon. The case seemed to be going in circles. No one had a clear motive strong enough to justify such a brutal act. The turning point came from an unexpected source, a single footprint. Investigators had carefully combed through the Dawson home and discovered a partial print on the back porch. Muddy, yet distinct. When analysed, it matched a rare brand of military-grade boots, typically issued only to former servicemen. This clue drastically narrowed the suspect pool. Police reviewed records of local veterans and, through cross-checking, identified a chilling lead. Jacob Miles, a dishonorably discharged soldier with a history of violent behavior. But here's where the story takes another dark twist. Jacob Miles wasn't a stranger to Carolyn. In fact, Carolyn had once tutored his younger sister during high school. Friends revealed that Jacob had harbored quiet obsessions with Carolyn for years, even after she moved on with her life. He had shown up uninvited at her workplace months earlier, leaving flowers on her car with no note. Carolyn had brushed it off, telling her fiancé it was probably just a misunderstanding. But investigators now believed Jacob's obsession had escalated into something far more sinister. When police searched Jacob's home, they uncovered a notebook filled with disturbing writings. Pages describing Carolyn in intimate detail, sketches of her face, and even notes about the Dawson house layout. Most chilling of all was a scrawled line that read, "If I can't have her, no one can." Jacob was arrested 2 weeks after the massacre. Forensic testing confirmed that the shotgun shells found at the Dawson residence matched a weapon in his possession. The muddy footprint was the final nail in the coffin. During interrogation, Jacob initially denied everything, but faced with the mountain of evidence, he broke down. What he revealed was chilling. He claimed he hadn't planned to kill anyone else, only Carolyn. The other deaths, he insisted, were collateral damage. He described his obsession as a love that went wrong, a twisted justification for one of the most horrifying crimes in Brookhaven's history. The trial gripped the nation. Jacob Miles sat in court, often emotionless, occasionally smirking. Survivors took the stand, recounting the horror of that night, the screams, the blood, the silence of the gunman. The prosecution painted Jacob as a calculated killer, fueled by obsession and rage. The defense attempted to argue mental instability, citing PTSD from his military past. In the end, the jury took less than 4 hours to deliver their verdict. Guilty on all counts. Jacob Miles was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. For the Dawson family, no sentence could undo the tragedy. Carolyn's parents returned from their trip to a home filled with grief, not laughter. Her fiancé, Daniel, once planning a wedding, was left planning a funeral. The town of Brookhaven, forever scarred, now remembers Carolyn each year with a candlelight vigil. Neighbours gather outside the Dawson home, placing flowers where the massacre occurred. The case remains a chilling reminder of how obsession, unchecked and hidden, can destroy lives in an instant. Carolyn Dawson should have had many more birthdays to celebrate. Instead, Her final one became the night her story was stolen, forever remembered as the birthday party that ended in a massacre.